Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Village of Tequesta and to a regular council meeting. It is Thursday, March 11th, 2021, and it is 6 p.m. We are live streaming this via YouTube and Zoom. Both of the links are on the first page of the agenda. I would also like to acknowledge several guests in the audience that came. One, of course, District 1 County Commissioner, our County Commissioner, Maria Marino, is here. Jupiter Inlet Colony Mayor Dan Comerford is also here. Vice Mayor, Jupiter Inlet Colony Chip Block is here. And Palm Beach North Executive Director Noel Martinez is here. All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Abby Brennan.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kyle Stone.
Here.
Councilmember Lori Brandon.
Here.
Councilmember Frankie Ambra.
Here.
Councilmember Bruce Prince.
Here.
Thank you. This evening, the invocation and pledge of allegiance will be led by Councilmember Bruce Prince.
Dear Heavenly Father, we invite you here tonight to preside over this meeting. Even if we have different opinions, please give us the unity of spirit. Help us each to listen politely as others share their points of view. Help us work as a unified team in combining our ideas for a great outcome. Help us to work as a whole rather than individuals trying to promote our own agendas. May we have the spirit of camaraderie in this room and work together on our shared mission. Amen. Amen.
Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor, I have one ad, however. We're going to have a 1A, which is going to be a resolution, and it's
1A?
Yes, it's going to be 1A. It's going to be part of the presentation that the village manager is going to make to you. And on behalf of the council and the village manager and the residents, it's an honor to put this resolution forward. You've spent 8 years as mayor, which is remarkable, but even more remarkable is the fact that you earned those 8 years through your dedication, hard work, and really elevating the role of mayor into something that we had not seen before. And it's been of tremendous benefit to this village, and we've all benefited, all the residents have benefited from it, staff, everyone. And so the clerk will read this resolution into effect at that point in time.
All right, thank you. Is the council in agreement with the change in the agenda? Yes. Thank you very much.
We are, but I'd like to add a couple things, if you don't mind. So I was asked to add a couple of your accomplishments. And so I was thinking of Vince with all of the different pages that he would bring. And I cut it down to a page and a half. But I was thinking about when you enter into politics. We do it with the best intentions to do what is right for our community. We quickly realize, though, that not everyone will agree with our decisions. You may disappoint people, and you may pick the wrong side of a friend or even a neighbor. But in your heart, you believe you have to do what is best for the community, even if it's at your own expense. So to keep moving forward as a politician, we continue to serve our community. You have to have a unique personality and some characteristics. It is not an easy task to do it, let alone to do it for 10 years is remarkable. Today, this is why we're here to celebrate you. This is why a lot of people are here to celebrate you, Mayor. But it's clear Mayor Brennan had some passions throughout her career. One of those passions was public safety. She supports the Tequesta Fire Rescue, the Tequesta Police Departments by consistently voting to improve staffing, safety equipment, and health services. She spearheaded negotiations with Brightline, then at All Aboard of Florida, to advocate for the safety measures including closing crossings and quiet zones at the expense of the railroad. She led the Florida Department of Transportation in the Complete Streets program, which included installation of bike paths, widened sidewalks, decorative lighting, and other safety amenities for US 1 at no cost to the village residents. Another passion she had was the Tequesta businesses. She formed the Tequesta Business Association with the assistance of the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce. She launched the Taste of Tequesta tour to promote the village's numerous eateries, accompanied by Tequesta residents, area celebrities, and dined at those restaurants and wrote about her experience. She received the 2017 Community Leader of the Year from the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce in recognition of her efforts. She even hand-delivered Christmas cards to businesses every year during the holiday season. It is also evident in her passions to promote and protect the Village of Tequesta. Her active involvement with the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce and its subcommittees in the Palm Beach League of Cities has made the village a visible force in our county. Abby advocated for the establishment of the Tequesta Environmental Committee. She was responsible for numerous negotiations benefiting the village, such as the fire rescue agreement with the Jupiter Inlet Colony and continuing the lease at Paradise Park. She communicated with the village residents and businesses from the emergency operations centers during many hurricanes over the last 10 years. She even oversaw the de-escalation of that potentially catastrophic propane tank leak. But after all that, and there's many things that I left off, Mayor Brennan still found time to volunteer. She is the Secretary-Treasurer of the Tequesta Friends and Public Safety, a nonprofit that provides support and financial assistance to the Tequesta Police and Fire. She serves on the host committee for the Renewal Coalition, which provides expense-free 4-day retreats to wounded soldiers and their families. And she sits on the board of the Women Foundation of the Palm Beach County and Treasure Coast Regional Planning Committee. So on behalf of the village, the businesses, the residents, the employees, we thank you for serving our community with grace and dignity. You will always be our friend and our Mayor, Abby. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to our presentations. Yes?
I'm going to need to read the resolution for the record.
Before we get to the item one?
It's part of the presentation.
Okay, well, let me just say this. We have 3 presentations, and one of them is to me. So would you please read?
I have to take my mask off, otherwise my glasses fog up.
I know, isn't it awful?
A resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Tequesta, Florida, establishing a mayoral award titled the Abby Brennan Mayor Award to be presented annually to a resident or employee for their dedication to service and positive impacts made to the Village of Tequesta. Whereas Abby Brennan has been a Village of Tequesta council member since March 2011. Whereas Abby Brennan has been the longest-serving appointed mayor in the village's history, with 8 consecutive mayoral terms. Whereas the Village of Tequesta Council wishes to honor Mayor Abby Brennan's long-time service by naming an annual award titled the Abby Brennan Mayor Award after her for her dedication and commitment to the Village of Tequesta residents and employees. Whereas the Abby Brennan Mayor Award will be presented annually by the sitting mayor during the March council meeting, with exception of the Charter Award, which will be presented in April 2021 to a resident or employee for their dedication to service and positive impacts made to the Village of Tequesta. Whereas, since the award is being named after longtime Mayor Abby Brennan, Ms. Brennan will craft the award guidelines and make the first presentation during the April 2021 council meeting. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Tequesta, Florida, is this resolution 1121.
Thank you. Thank you. Jeremy, did you have something? I think Lori just did it all, correct? We got it?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
We do have another presentation from staff before we turn over to our guests. Do you want to go ahead and play that now? And then we're going to get you up front and we're going to...
Oh, boy. This is, You never do.
Thanks for all the good work. Hey there, Brennan. It's Adam, the firefighters from the fire department on B shift. We just want to say thanks for your service. We're going to miss you. And feel free to stop by and come see us whenever you want, okay? Hey, you know, Mayor, we wanted to send you a little message today just to say thanks so much for the 10 years you've given to this village, 10 years that you've given to this fire department, and to a lot of us individuals. You have been an absolute outstanding person from most of the West. You've been a very fair mayor for all these years. You've given all of us here a lot of your time, and you've always been there to talk to us whenever we need you. We're going to miss you like crazy. You've been an ambassador to the village, and you should be proud of yourself, and I really hope that you enjoy your retirement. And on behalf of CSHIP, we just want to say, enjoy your retirement.
Madam Mayor, on behalf of the building department, we want to thank you for everything, and we are going to miss you.
Mayor, on behalf of the entire finance department, we would like to thank you for your guidance, as well as your support over the past few years. We also would like to wish you everything for all of your goals, village council endeavors. Again, we thank you very much for all that you have done.
Mayor Brennan, we definitely gonna miss you, and we miss you very, very well.
Hi, Mayor Abby, it's Doug over here in Public Works. I just wanted to congratulate you on your many years of public service here in Tequesta. Your dedication to the village, its residents, the staff is undeniable. I wish you all the happiness and success in the future. And again, thank you so much, Mayor.
Hi, Mayor Brennan. Thank you for taking the time to make sure each new employee feels like a welcome and valued addition to the Village of Tequesta staff.
Mayor Abby, it's been a pleasure working with you. I will certainly miss you.
Mayor Brennan, it's been an honor to call you mayor over the years, and working alongside of you has been a privilege and a pleasure. I want to thank you for your support and friendship as well over the years. It really has meant a lot to me. I wish you all the very best in your next chapter, and I know I'll see you soon.
Brennan, you are truly the people's mayor. You have a lot of compassion and genuine interest in everything Tequesta, and we are genuinely going to miss you. You give your heart and soul to the residents and to the staff, and your support is second to none, and the clerk's office appreciates all that you do for the residents and the village employees.
Mayor, it has been an absolute pleasure serving underneath you as deputy clerk. You are the utmost professional. Your meetings are absolutely flawless. We're going to miss you so much, but we know that whatever you do, you're going to be so successful. We wish you much happiness, and we know we will be seeing you. This is not goodbye. It is just see you later. Happy retirement.
Mayor Brennan, everywhere I go, people know about Tequesta. Your presence outside of our limits has helped put Tequesta on the map. You provided dedicated and unwavering support to the village employees, and the village is a better place because of you. We'll miss you. Good luck in the future.
We're good?
So, Mayor Brennan, on behalf of the village council, it's not over yet.
Okay. I'm getting more embarrassed by the moment.
Management and staff would like to present to you this beautiful custom engraved face of various events and meetings that you have attended over the years as a council member and mayor. You have been the heartbeat of the village for 8 years as the mayor, and we all appreciate the support and dedication you give to the residents and employees of the village, and we are going to miss you.
That is beautiful.
Now I think we have a presentation from the county.
No,
Right.
what?
During the column.
Maybe I need to put this at the end somewhere, you know, or in the middle, something, yeah, from G.
ordering me around.
What else is new?
As usual.
Thank you. Chip.
So at our commission meeting on Monday evening, we passed the proclamation honoring Mayor Abby for her 10 years of public service to the village. Whereas Abby Brennan served the village of DeQuesta with great distinction as mayor for 8 years and an additional 2 years as a council member. And whereas Mayor Abby has a long and successful career in the private sector, including the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame prior to entering public service, and whereas Mayor Brennan is a leading citizen in the village of DeQuesta, taking great interest in village affairs and contributing her wit and wisdom to civil dialogue, enriching the quality of life to her beloved village. And whereas Mayor Brennan has effectively led the village of DeQuesta in the most ethical and progressive manner, and whereas Mayor Brennan is a great friend and partner to the town of Jupiter Inlet Colony, particularly during the neighborhood rehabilitation project, I, Dr. Daniel J. Comerford III, Mayor, hereby express our thanks and admiration to Mayor Brennan by this proclamation dated March 11, 2021.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm a little prejudiced. Abby's one of my best friends and one of my wife's best friends. She's done so much to raise the profile of DeQuesta. DeQuesta and Jupiter Inlet Colony over the years, until the advent of Abby and Dan, were recluse in terms of affairs of the county, the Chamber of Commerce. We might as well not have existed. And Abby and Dan both changed that. And I hope whoever is the new mayor will continue her work in the greater community, because it's very valuable to the town of the village of DeQuesta. We love the village and we love you, Abby. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have a presentation from Maria Marino from the county.
Our commissioner.
My friend.
I know.
I have so many pictures of you and I together as mayor. I hope I get through this.
Uh-oh.
This is a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, honoring DeQuesta Mayor Abby Brennan on her retirement. Whereas Abby Brennan has resided in the village of DeQuesta, Florida for 23 years and was elected to the village council in 2011, and whereas she has served as mayor of the village of DeQuesta for the past 8 years and will retire in April 2021. And whereas Mayor Brennan has provided dedicated leadership with an emphasis on traffic safety, enhancing economic development, and creating increased pedestrian sidewalks, bike paths, and decorative lighting along the village's US 1 corridor. And whereas prior to her election to the DeQuesta Village Council, Ms. Brennan served on the Village Audit Committee and was actively involved in the conception and planning phases for the replacement of the DeQuesta Drive Bridge. And whereas she previously enjoyed a successful private consulting career and held leadership positions with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio, the Cultural Council of Palm Beach County, the Maltz Jupiter Theater, the Lighthouse Arts Center in DeQuesta, and the International Museum of Cartoon in Boca Raton. And whereas Mayor Brennan made time for volunteer activities, serving as treasurer of the Friends of Public Safety that supports and financially assists DeQuesta's police and firefighters, on the host committee of the Renewal Coalition that assists wounded service members and their families, and on the board of the Women's Foundation of Palm Beach County. And whereas Mayor Brennan was awarded the 2017 Community Leader of the Year from the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce, now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of the County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session this 9th day of March 2021, that the board is hereby honoring DeQuesta Mayor Abby Brennan on her retirement. Be it further proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, that this proclamation is duly sealed, ribboned, and executed by the members of this board. The foregoing proclamation was sponsored by Commissioner Maria G. Marino, and upon unanimous consent of the board, the mayor declared the proclamation duly enacted. To my friend, Abby Brennan.
So Mayor, you have
Can I have a picture with her?
oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Wait, oh, Kris, that's what you mean. I'll come down.
Coming down?
Yeah, I'll come down. Just take this off. I'm not hijacking your meeting, I just love my friend. And I'll want that, hold on. Now that I said all that stuff without a mouth. Okay, let's move on to item 2.
Well, Mayor, if we will, so we have a motion to, for the resolution. You'll need a second and a vote on it. What's that? Oh, no, we got one more presentation, sorry. I got carried away, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's all right, that's all right. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. For the record, my name is Noel Martinez, and I am President and CEO of the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce. And I am here today to thank Mayor Abby for her 10 years of service. Mayor Abby, as we all know her, is a natural-born leader, and she's been a fierce advocate for the business community. I know Council Member Stone stole some of my thunder here when it comes to being business friendly, but a close friend of hers was telling me a story how if you're gonna take Abby out to dinner, you better take her to a restaurant in Tequesta. If you mention that you need to buy someone a gift or a present, she knows exactly the store to go to in Tequesta to get that present. She's so passionate about making businesses, the Tequesta business, prosperous. She formed the Tequesta Business Association, as you heard before, along with the Chamber. She launched the Taste of Tequesta tour to help promote Tequesta dining, to promote the dining establishments, excuse me. I even heard a story about how, and Kyle mentioned it earlier, how she brings Christmas cards to all the business owners and sits down and talks to them and asks them how they're doing and what they could do, what Tequesta could do to help their business grow. How many mayors out there are doing that? Back in 2017, as you heard, Mayor Abby won the Community Leader of the Year award from the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce. And to us, that is a real big deal. The recipient of the Community Leader of the Year award is given to someone that demonstrates a commitment to the community of Palm Beach North by inspiring community-wide support, exemplifying the highest standards of business and community leadership, and having an impact on community growth. Mayor Abby has been doing that right there in that seat for almost 10 years. Thank you, Mayor, for your 10 years of service. We can't thank you enough for all that you've done for the Chamber, the Village, and the region. We know you're not going too far, but we're definitely going to miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel. Now I can go?
Yeah, we'll just need a second and a vote on that resolution. And then I won't do anything more with leading the meeting, so.
Yeah, I move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all, that this has been above and beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And I would like to take a few moments. I know we're taking a lot of moments so far, but I would like to take a few moments to thank some people because they are the reason that I am here and that I have enjoyed my job so much after these 10 years. So I want to, most of all, put my heart and soul, you all know this, into this job for the past 10 years. Although it is technically not a full-time job, I made it one. It never would have been possible had it not been for my family, friends, and colleagues. My brother is here. My son is on Facebook, or not Facebook, he's on YouTube. And my friends, families, colleagues who put up with me for the past 10 years and offered guidance and support. They also talked me off the ledge on several occasions after difficult meetings and issues came my way. I have a very special thank you to my dear friend, driver, mentor, and unpaid and unlicensed psychiatrist, Pat Watkins. Thank you. Thank you to our staff members who work in the field and behind the scenes. They do all of the work, and it makes us look good up here because they are doing the work. I wish I had time to thank all 100 plus staff members, and of course you're glad now I'm not going to do that. But we all know that we are a very small municipality, and department heads wear several hats and often have no backup. So working at night and on the weekends is common. They are exceptional. Thanking them is important. First, Pastor Paul Beresford, my spiritual guru, who leads by example every single day, who has taught me so much about kindness and prayer and God. And I want to thank you for your dear friendship all of these years. Matt Hammond, our Director of Utilities, and Lee and Dennis, who sit at the front, and all of his staff. The water department is invaluable. We cannot live without water. We have the best water. Public Works Director Doug Chambers and his Executive Assistant Janet. Whenever you look around this village and you see beautiful places, they've done it, and they do it all the time, and we thank you for that. Land planner Nilsa Zacharias and her associate Lance bring us quality projects, dots every I, crosses every T. Finance Director Hugh Dunkley with Michelle, Tatiana, Carolyn, and Judy, thank you so much for how you keep our records, how we get awards every year for how well our records are kept. And we have clean opinions, and those of you that know accounting know that that means the auditors have said everything's perfect, not to worry. Our building director and building official, Jose Rodriguez, Lynn, Casey, and Ahelia routinely get compliments for all the work that they do with developers. With somebody who's coming in for a fence gets the same consideration that somebody who's building a building. And they thank them all the time, and I thank you as well. Code compliance, Michael Filipkowski. How many code compliance officers get thanked? They're going out there to give them a ticket. They're going out there and they're saying you have to tear down this fence or you have to put your boat behind a fence. But yet we will hear that he was so kind that he did it in such a great way. So he is also high on my list of thanks. Clerk and PIO, Lori McWilliams, and her staff, Mary Ann and Diana. Lori McWilliams, in my opinion, is the hardest working employee that we have in the village. She is not just the clerk, she is not the PIO, she is the videographer, she's the photographer. She designed and keeps the website going, she co-authors smoke signals. It goes on and on and on. There is never a time that Lori is not available, at all times, weekends, nights, constantly. Thank you, Lori, for that. Human Resources and Risk Management Director, and I should say Dr. Merlene Reed, because we're so proud of her for attaining her PhD. Anything to do with employees, there's Merlene. Anything to do with the unions, there's Merlene. Anything to do with insurance, there's Merlene. Does an invaluable job wearing several hats. Parks and Rec Director Greg Corbett, I don't know if you're here, so if you're not, just know I'm talking about you. What would we be without the Parks and Rec the way they're run in this village? It is absolutely astounding. They have gone above and beyond. They've, even through COVID, done things that we could never, can't even fathom. They're just so good. Police Chief Gus Medina, I know you're back there somewhere, and Assistant Chief McGrew, and all of the officers in the police department. My brother is here. He's a retired police officer. I grew up with police officers, families, uncles, friends, whatever. I have never seen a group of men and women in a police department that are as dedicated and compassionate as we have here under your leadership, Chief. And I thank you for that. Fire Chief Jim Trube, Captains Newburn, Harris, and Tillis. What do you have to say about fire rescue? Fire rescue is like, the ambassadors of the entire village. They're everywhere. They take care of people. If you've ever needed them or you know someone that needs them, you just never hear enough about them. And the best part about them is that they are the Tequesta Fire Rescue Department, and that we love. Village Attorney Keith Davis, over here. and his associate Mitty Barnard. Keith and I have had years of long conversations, and I've been so grateful for that. Keith has not been so grateful for that, but here's the thing. The village negotiated with his law firm that the council members can talk to him at any time at no cost. I have taken advantage of that on many occasions, and I thank you for that as well. Executive Assistant Deborah Telford, I don't think she's here. Hi, Deb. Well, I'm going to say it again. Executive Assistant Deborah Telford, one of the finest people I have ever met. You are absolutely amazing. You are just such an asset to the village, but as a person, I'm in awe of you. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for keeping my calendar and reminding me 2 times before a meeting so I at least make half of them. And then, of course, Manager Jeremy Allen. Not even here 2 years, brought a hurricane with him. All right? He did. He brought it with him. He had to cancel his first wait time from the village to stay and take care of it. Then along came COVID. Do you see a pattern here? But you know what? Thank you for keeping it all together. You are the glue. And we have done so much better. And I'm so delighted to have those Tuesdays with you every week. I've learned so much. You've learned much. We've had a great relationship, and I will miss that very much. Okay, so I also want to express gratitude to our volunteers who serve on boards, committees, including the history keepers, or as they are fondly known, the hysterical historians, because of the peals of laughter coming out of their room, which I should call a closet, whenever they're here. And we can't forget to thank all of the people who volunteer at the Parks and Recreation Center to help with camp and special events. Finally, the residents. Thank you for choosing the village for your home and for the privilege of representing you all these years. It has been a fantastic journey and one that I will never forget. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so very much. All right, let's move on to more business, or some business at least. Our second item on the agenda is the Public Safety Employee Pension Board presentation by Board Member Kris Cowles. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. I guess I'm the lucky guy who gets to follow all that with a PowerPoint about some numbers. So first, Mayor Brennan, thank you for your service. On behalf of myself and everyone on the board, we appreciate it. I've been on the board for about 2 years, and this is my first time delivering the presentation, so I'll give you my 30 seconds who I am. I live over on Cypress Circle, right off North Cypress Drive, with my wife, Jamie, and my 4 kids. My wife is a teacher at the Benjamin School. I'm president and managing director of Medicare Consultants of America, one of the 5 largest Medicare agencies in the state, right here in Jupiter. Ed was initially supposed to be presenting today, but I guess I stepped in on his behalf. A couple things that I just want to make known for everybody out there. Our job on the board, our responsibility on the board, is not to try to generate the best returns for you guys as we can. It's to really just follow the rules and the regulation of the board, make sure that the mandates are followed, and stay in compliance, stay within the asset allocation requirements of the board. I don't think it's in the presentation, but the goal, the mandate, is for an average 7% return for the pension fund. So I guess you're going to be cueing me along here. Yep. So based upon what happened, we had our quarterly meeting last week on the 3rd. There we go. Our next one is scheduled for the 3rd. As far as the performance for the fund, this is kind of awkward to do. Following along here,
make eye contact, and right. I'll know.
So I'll give you the signal, and you'll flip it. So as far as the performance as of end of the year, we're actually doing pretty well. So for our end of year performance, Jennifer Gainfor is with ANCO. She is our pension consultant. So the value at the end of the year was just over $21 million. So $21,278,706. So I'll go through what the asset allocation looks like. Our job is to make sure that we stay within the asset allocation rules of the plan. So the domestic equity or the U.S. equity stocks is currently at about 54.3%. So the mandate is to keep that in between 45 and 55%. So we're kind of on the high end there, so we'll be watching that. International equity at 16.3. The goal is to keep that between 10 and 20%. So those two have been performing very well. So you saw that that's got on the high end. The domestic fixed income, 18.8, right in between 15 and 25. Global fixed income, which has given us some challenges, is between 0 and 10%. So we're only at 3.5. We'll see some changes were made there. Real estate, 6.6, and cash at just under 0.5% at 0.4. So don't really want to get too much into this and how the performance has been. But think of our job is to kind of keep us right in the middle of the road. We don't want to get too aggressive and too risky, but we also want to make sure that we're getting enough return for the risk that we are taking. So compared to the benchmarks of those different strategies, you know, we're right there, 10.33% last year, obviously superior to the 7% that we had projected, which helped out a little bit. And you can see there all of the allocation, the returns compared to the benchmark. So it had a pretty good year last year that helped us meet our goals. Same thing here, since inception, we're right in line. The fund has averaged 7.42% versus our benchmark of 7.64. That's going back about 16 years. Up until about 2 years ago, I believe the projected return was 7.5, which recently was decreased down to about 7. So that you know, presents a couple of challenges as far as funding obligations and such. But you know, some of those strategies presented some challenges. You'll see down there at the bottom, global fixed income 1.29% versus our benchmark of 4.64. So you'll see that a change was made there. Good. As far as the fund overall, compared to other funds, again, for the last year, the 1 year, 3, 5, and since inception, we're middle of the road, right where we want to be. As far as those returns since inception, I know that says 50th percentile. When I was in school, if I got a 50%, that would have been a failing grade. But for this, that's exactly where we want to be, kind of right in the middle there. Okay, so don't think of that as being negative. Think of that as being kind of right where we want to be. Okay. One of the changes that were made this year, Templeton Global Bond Fund was switched in favor of the PIMCO Diversified Income Strategy. The Templeton Fund just wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. Over the last 5 years, it had been in the 98th percentile, so that's not good. That's 98% of their peers that had done better. So we made a change, and that change was made into the PIMCO Fund. All right, so this is a little bit wordy, so a couple things I do want to hit on here because I do think they're important. We had our actuarial valuation as well. As of September 30th, the contribution rate for the Village for the police portion was 0. So that included, or that was offset by a $204,391 contribution that came from the reserve account, which leaves a balance of about $613,000. So, you know, consider the math there. Consider that about 3 more years of contributions there if we average about $204,000. And then that reserve will be depleted. So something to consider there. The transfer is based on the expectation of the 185 money, which is the plan before I came onto the board, of $91,375. So we don't know exactly what that's going to be. So it could change how much the contribution needs to be up or down depending upon what that actually is. The contribution rate for the firefighter portion, 22.04%, which is less than last year, which is good. We can take that money and put it into other things. But the contribution expectation is $171,940 from the $175 state money. Again, with that expectation, I think in the last couple of years it's been exact, so we haven't had to make any other changes. So if so, then the plan will be in line with expectations. So overall, combined contribution rate just under 13%. Couple things. The performance last year was better than expected. We had, like you saw, 10% compared to 7%, so that helped out. We had some terminations, which reduced the future obligation of the fund, so that brought down, what our contributions expectations were. And then also that was offset a little bit by some greater than expected pay increases. One other thing to note is that the state made a change to the mortality assumptions, so we have to follow that. It was actually in our favor, so that actually reduced the decrease in contributions by a little over 1%, so that's a positive. But right here, this is the good news, the best news. As of the end of September, right in line. The plan is at 100% funded, so that's great. There's not a lot of plans out there in the country that can say that, up from 95% last year. A couple things. The plan is overfunded modestly. That's as of that date. It can change, obviously, on a day-to-day basis. So because of that offset from the state contribution, the contribution from the village has been low. So one of the lowest that our analysts or our actuary actually works with. So very low contribution requirements there, but what's come from the village has been relatively stable. Couple other matters, really just administrative things. There's a new E-Verify law requirement for the plan. It's just things that we have to follow by. We went over best practices to locate any missing non-responsive participants if and when that ever happens. New IRS mileage reimbursement rates, that changed a little bit because of COVID. Updated the summary or the SPD for the plan. A few minor changes, nothing dramatic there. And some of the contractual provisions, these are just legal requirements for the plan. And our next meeting is in May, so it'll be the 3rd. I guess kind of the last thing was that we had our SOC audit, which is a third party that comes in and evaluates measures and makes sure that everything is running as it should. That went very, very well. Went over our practices for meetings going forward. Don't know what that will be, if we're going to continue to have virtual meetings or in person. We received our management reports from some of our managers. Another note, Garcia Hamilton is one of the managers managing a large portion of that. They are currently kind of on a tentative watch because their performance has been in the bottom 20 or bottom 15% of their peers, so might be needing to look at another change there. So with that, I think we're done. So thank you again. Officers, police, I don't know if there's anyone from the police here, but guys, thank you for your support. Thank you for what you do. We appreciate it. So,
Are there any questions? No?
I'm going to have some.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if Kyle.
Basic.
When you talk about the 7% rate, of course, that's the actuarial assumed rate. Doesn't mean you have to, that's the goal precisely, right. If we can beat that, obviously we want to. When you talk about the benchmark performance, are we looking versus the performance of other plans, or are we looking at the performance of those particular managers specific to their universe?
We actually had both in that presentation. So the funds themselves, those different asset classes, those are in comparison to the peers, some of the other managers. So for example, the change that was made with the Templeton Fund in favor of PIMCO, they were in the 98th percentile or so compared to their peers. That's, obviously a change needs to be made, but the changes that we made, the numbers that we showed towards the end of the presentation, that was relative to other pension type
Okay,
plan.
so it's other
Those are the
pension
plans.
funds, not specific to their universe of managers. One request I would make is next time you deliver this report, could you deliver the underlying elements of this as well? I'd like to be able to see that, as to how they're doing against their peer groups, not
Yeah,
just.
we have that.
No, I know you do.
Yeah, but it gets pretty,
No, I know.
pretty
I know it does. The other thing is, I was curious about this change in the mortality table. When it indicated a decrease, that would normally indicate a decrease in expected life expectancies post-retirement. And I was surprised to see that.
With COVID,
is
it's
that being driven by COVID primarily at this point, or what's the explanation for
I
that?
think that actually was in place prior to COVID.
Okay.
You know, the explanation that we received was not very detailed as far as what caused that change. It came from the state, so we are just mandated to follow it.
I actually read something the other day, Frank, in regards to that, and based on what I read, it is in relation to COVID. You know, nationwide, the mortality rate has gone down because of the COVID, and it's a very small percentage, but that's exactly what showed in the report. But that's what I read on it.
Yeah, and well, the reason I asked that question, because I did see something similar as well, is that I think that's a temporary situation, and I guess the question becomes, one of the issues for our plans, because it's relatively small, is what is our mortality experience likely to be going forward? Are we likely to replicate the larger state plans as a whole? Are we likely to do better in terms of?
And you're right. It is a small sample size,
yeah.
So it's very, very difficult. I mean,
so
one person can skew the plan projections dramatically.
Yeah, they can.
You know, we had one person leave the police department, and that made a dramatic change in what the plan projections.
So you indicated that this was mandated by state law. Is it truly mandated, or do we have some flexibility with our actuaries to be able to say, this may be true for the world at large, but when we look at our group, perhaps we want to be a little more conservative?
I don't think we can, to be quite honest. Don't quote me on that, but as far as the way it was presented to us by the attorney, I believe that, the actuary uses that number. It's not something that we can adjust. But that's my interpretation.
Okay. I'd like to get some more information on that, just a bit. I'm not questioning that the attorney did or did not say that, but with the smaller plans, oftentimes the actuaries do have some latitude.
Yeah.
And I'd rather see us be a little bit more conservative when it comes to when it comes to mortality or disability or some of the other issues that affect the funding of plans. I'd like to see us maybe take a little more of a conservative outlook.
That's fair.
Because I think that in the long term will benefit the village and its residents.
I agree.
So is Bonnie still the pension attorney? Okay, if you could maybe ask her to reach out to me.
Okay.
And so I'd like to kind of touch base with her on this. All right, thank you.
Yeah, reducing it down to 7% is also part of maybe more conservative.
Yeah.
For the pension itself. My biggest concern is that 600,000 that's in that kind of that part there, and I'm not sure on this budget going forward if any decision's been made about how much that's going to be used or not. Jeremy?
This budget it was.
No,
but
for
the
next.
future budget.
Yeah.
Not yet,
Okay.
but that'll be a discussion point with you and I and our comfort level as far as that reserve and where we are.
So I think from council perspective, that is a very nice thing to have when markets pull back. And that's when values of houses go down, that's when a lot of bad things happen. It's nice to have that, to be able to use it for that year's contribution. It's something that I strongly encourage everyone to kind of leave it where it is.
Now, it's not our job to make recommendations
Correct.
on these things, but just, a logical thought is, that contribution, the full contribution for the police department was fully offset this year, which decreased that by $204,000. I don't know if you're required, the plan is required to take the full contribution, or if they can maybe temper that and take a portion in order to extend the lifetime of that reserve.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, there's so much legal requirements in this that, you know, that may be something to pursue.
Yep, yeah, if we can look into it, it's my understanding that we can, as a council, decide how much and when to use that, so.
There is latitude on that, as the vice mayor is indicating, and, you know, it's a balance, because you're right, there can be some benefits to reserve. On the other hand, where we're trying to replenish the general fund balances and we're trying to address capital needs for the village that were deferred, again, there's some competing interests there, and that's something, you know, we'll all have to weigh.
Okay. All right. Anything down here? All right. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for your service. We know we don't pay you a lot. I think it's nothing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kris.
Exactly nothing.
Exactly nothing. Well, thank you very much for that report. It was great. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in.
Wait, we have a proclamation.
Oh, that's right, we've got one more.
Number 3.
That's what oh my
For the-
goodness, you're right, I'm sorry, I was on the wrong page already. Oh, the proclamation, you got me so rattled. I can't remember anything right now. Yes, we have a proclamation proclaiming March 2021 as South Florida Water Management, Water Conservation Month. And Lori, will you read that? And I believe that Facilities Director Matt Hammond will be accepting that.
Whereas water is a basic and essential need of every living creature. Whereas the state of Florida water management districts and Mayor Abby Brennan are working together to increase awareness about the importance of water conservation. Whereas the Village of DeQuesta and the state of Florida has designated March, typically a dry month when water demands are most acute, Florida's Water Conservation Month, to educate citizens about how they can help save Florida's precious water resources. Whereas Mayor Abby Brennan has always encouraged and supported water conservation, as well as the council, through various educational programs and special events. Whereas every business, industry, school, and citizen can make a difference when it comes to conserving water. Whereas every business, industry, school, and citizen can help by saving water and thus promote a healthy economy and community. Now therefore be it resolved that by virtue of the authority vested in the mayor of the Village of DeQuesta does hereby proclaim the month of March as Water Conservation Month.
Thank you, Lori. Matt, would you like to say a few words about how we do that?
I would be happy to.
Thank you.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mayor Abby, for you, congratulations, and we're going to miss your leadership here. Related to water conservation, it's actually an exciting year for that in the village, in that we have such an incredible tool at our fingertips now with the new advanced metering infrastructure system that we have, with the customer portal that customers can monitor their flows, as well as staff. Just in the last 3 months that it's been stood up, we've made over 60 phone calls to customers, notifying them of potential leaks and helping them identify them. So it's a finite resource that we're charged with being stewards of, and in the village. In the village, it's something that's not taken lightly, and we have some pretty incredible tools to help us do that.
Thank you. Congratulations on that, and thank you for all of the work that you're doing there. Okay, now may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let me put on the pirate glasses. I was wondering why I couldn't see. Okay. All right, that is the end of consent. And we are coming to communications from citizens. And in order to maintain an orderly flow of the meeting, citizens are requested to make their comments now for any agenda item they wish to address. We will first ask the village clerk to read any comment cards, call anybody in chambers that wishes to speak, and then the phone lines will be open for anyone using Zoom to make their comments. Kindly state your name and address for the record, and refer to the number and title of the agenda item you wish to speak to. Lori, do you have any cards?
I do.
All right.
I have James Pike.
All right.
Hello,
James Pike, village employee. Ms. Mayor, I just wanted to thank you personally for your support, for the community, for the police department, for the employees of the village, for all the programs you've been to with us, came out for us, National Night Out, Bicycle Rodeo, the Nautical Club, your support through public safety, Friends of Public Safety. I can attest to you being at 99.9% of all the village community events. You're always there for us, you're always there for the community. And I just wanted to personally thank you as a longtime village employee.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I can't say enough because James has actually had back surgery recently, and he is here, which is very special to me. Very special. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Lori?
Pat Watkins.
Oh, Mrs. Watkins.
Pat Watkins, 167 River Drive. Time won't allow me to detail everything I could, but I would like to share with everyone the power and positive effect that one voice can have. Nearly 11 years ago now, the sitting council and manager had to come to grips with the condition of the Tequesta Drive Bridge. And during that time, we started on countless, Keith, you were there, meetings, workshops. There was one lone resident who started attending these, first suggesting, then getting a little more than suggesting, that as long as the council was going to be looking at replacing that bridge, would we please look at the possibility of raising it and not just replacing the deck as it was? Well, months and months and months later, this culminated in the town hall meeting that we had at the Baptist Church, where we indeed did that. We offered to the community a choice between leaving the bridge at the height it was, raising it, and of course they overwhelmingly wanted to raise it, and it is the beautiful bridge you see now. And of course that lone voice was Abby Brennan. Mayor Brennan, over the past 10 years and more, you have devoted your time, talent, and expertise to our village and have been given the respect of your colleagues locally as well as statewide and beyond. And respect is not easily given. It has to be earned. The village of Tequesta has benefited so much from your leadership and perseverance. And as a longtime resident, a former council member, and your very good friend, I want to thank you for your dedication, which has opened so many eyes to the magic that is Tequesta.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you.
Carol Taylor.
Mr. Taylor, nice to see you back in chambers.
Thank you. First of all, my full name is Harold Taylor, live at 13 Chapel Court here in Tequesta. First thing, I'd like to thank you, Mayor, for all the work that you've done. Obviously, you've been a blessing for the village. Thank you kindly. I have a couple of things I'd like to suggest the council consider going forward. Nothing urgent, but first item is the US 1 corridor. We had a presentation a month ago from somebody who wants to put a building up at 691 North US 1. There are not very many high-rise buildings, anything over 2 stories in the village. The 2 most beautiful ones have to be John Zuccarelli's building at 1 Main Street and the building at 777 US 1. 2 totally different styles. One of them, Zuccarelli's building, you could probably say is Spanish. The one on US 1, modern. The presentation last month was for 691, and they presented an image of essentially a modern architectural style. We've kind of set the theme on US 1 with 777 being a modern looking building. I think if you put something that looked like John's building a block away from that, it just wouldn't look right. The theme would be gone. Matter of opinion, I just think what the presentation was for 691 went along with what you've already got. I think their architect, I don't know whether we tried to match the design of 777 or not, but it does look good and it does kind of fit in that area. Second thing I'd like to bring up for consideration is what is the village going to do with 483 Seabrook Road? It's that empty lot where one time we had considered putting the recreation center building there. The building of the lot right now is an eyesore. Something needs to be done. Personally, I can't see making it into a park because you've got the park less than a block down the street. I would like to see the village try to find a developer who could develop that property. We would sell it, take the money we would get, apply it to the loan for the rec center or improvements to the equipment that we've got. We'd have to insist, I think, that anything on that empty lot be one story. I doubt that people in the Pines or those living on Shea Place would like to see anybody looking into their backyards. With the size of the lot, the width isn't very much. It's about 137 feet according to the drawing I got from the village. The depth is fine, but I think we ought to try to sell that property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Lori.
Valerie Smith?
Good evening, Council. Valerie Hampy, 344 Venus Avenue, just across the street. I've been in touch with Ms. Zacharias regarding, I understand that you won't be discussing this tonight, but I'd like to bring it to your attention. I have been in my home for 31 years. I moved in October '89. I love it here. I just love it. And I've got a survey that was done for me at that time showing the location of a garden shed, which is there and has deteriorated over time. I would like to have the exact same shed, but new with a better roof. And I've been told that because it's within the setbacks, that's not possible. I do not wish to apply for a variance. I don't think that I should have to justify a variance. I'm not trying to vary anything from the way that it has been for the last 31 years. I have a signed statement from my neighbors showing that they have no objection. I've sent these photos to Ms. Zacharias. The last time I heard from her was February 18th, when she asked me to send 2 more photos of the south and the east side of the shed, which I did, on the 19th. She said she would consult with the attorney and get back to me. I have not heard anything. So if you don't object, Mayor, I would like to circulate these photos. If anyone wants to see the survey, signed and sealed, I'll pass that around too, but obviously I need that back.
You may
Thank
give, yes, and he'll give it to the clerk.
And the statement from the neighbors. I've been fortunate to have the same neighbors for the entire time I've lived there.
That's really wonderful.
It is remarkable.
All right, we will take a look at that, and Jeremy will chase it down and see what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone in the room that didn't put in a card that would like to speak? And nothing that came over on our page? All right, Brad?
Mayor, we have one gentleman who would like to speak.
Okay. Please go ahead. Please identify yourself.
Mayor, Village of Cuesta, City Council members, my name is Jack Napoliotis. I reside in Stewart, Florida. I'm a retired U.S. Naval officer, 649 security officer for naval bases, military ships, naval bases, brigs, kennels, and a former military working dog officer. I also have a bachelor's and criminal justice and homeland security. I'm speaking here on behalf of my wife and I were victims of the misconduct of the Village of DeQuesta Police Department's leadership and K-9 officer Michael Maloney. I forwarded an IA complaint to each of the city council members and the mayor, to include your CEO, Jeremy Allen. On about 01 March, I finally received a copy of the IA complaint after having to beg for it. The K-9 officer, Mike Maloney, did not violate any policy according to the Village of DeQuesta IA complaint that I received. And it's also has all of the city council and the mayor's name at the very bottom of the page. However, K-9 officer Michael Maloney did violate and totally disregarded his K-9 training and his code of conduct and his ethics he swore to obey. My wife and I have suffered dearly because of that dog that almost mauled my wife on the 13th of December of 2020. And that dog also came after us on multiple occasions. And the dog was never in possession of K-9 officer Michael Maloney. The dog was in possession of his girlfriend, who he gave permission to and had custody of the dog. And the issue on the 13th of December, Brittany Holly, the girlfriend of Michael Maloney, was riding a bicycle with a 12 to 15 foot leash, no muzzle on the K-9, and nearly came behind my wife as she was walking our dog and nearly mauled her. She barely got away. What I don't understand is why the city council thinks it's okay to send me a letter that you guys didn't have a policy in place that protected the public from an incident such as this. This is reckless endangerment. Because you didn't have a policy in place, my wife could have been mauled by a dog and it wouldn't have mattered. And I was just told, it's okay, we have $1 million policy by Michael Maloney. We never got an apology, nothing. I talked to Chief McGrew, I never talked to Chief Medina, but it sounds like everybody's okay that Michael Maloney is able to give his dog, the people at DeQuesta's dog, to his girlfriend to care for, which almost mauled my wife and almost attacked me on one occasion and my wife on another occasion. It's reckless endangerment, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's okay. That's the letter I got. It says it's okay that that happened.
All right, sir, you have exhausted the 3 minutes. I am aware, as you know, you and I spoke for quite some time, and I know that council has received documentation. And at this time, I would like to turn this over to the village attorney because we are being accused of things, and I don't know that we're not going to address it tonight at this table.
Well, people at DeQuesta need to know what's going on with your police department.
Thank you, sir. I hear what you're saying,
Okay,
but I hear what you're saying, sir, but I have to.
Serious issue within your leadership, and it needs to be addressed. Period.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, sir. Okay, is there anything else, Lori, that you have?
No, ma'am.
All right, now we're going to communications from council. And why don't we start with Councilmember Prince?
I'm good with everything.
Okay. Councilmember Brandon.
Where should we start? So Environmental Advisory Council will soon be bringing to a general conversation and a workshop about regulating pesticides, very similar to the fertilizer, but pesticides. They also are looking into how the village can be forward-thinking and maybe slowly adding charging stations at certain locations throughout the village. They are just looking into it. They aren't ready quite yet to come to council, but they will be coming soon to start that discussion.
Thank you.
The other thing.
Mm-hmm. Don't do that.
Okay, forget it. I'll do it later.
She cries on the tape.
I'll do it later. Okay, go to someone else.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember D'Ambra, would you like to say anything other than about me, please? I
Well-
appreciate it, I do, but I'm embarrassed.
Well, I'm going to have to say a couple of things.
Oh, dear. Dear.
Abby and I first met on that bridge project that Mayor Watkins mentioned. And from there, we formed a friendship. We served together on the audit committee. And I've been on the council now for 7 of the 10 years that you've been on the council. So first and foremost, the most important thing is, we've become great friends, and I appreciate the friendship that we've had, through all these years. You've been an exceptional mayor. As I said earlier, you've raised the mayoral role to a completely different level, and as many other people have said, it's been very much to the benefit of this community and its residents. And I just want to thank you again for your service and your friendship and all the things that we've been able to accomplish, during your tenure. I just have a couple other things I want to talk about now. They're escaping me. I did want to mention one thing. Jose and Jeremy and I have communicated. An issue was brought to my attention by one of our restaurant owners that technically, since we don't have an ordinance governing dogs at restaurants outside, that under state law, I guess they're, as I understand it, technically prohibited. And yet, if you go to Perk, you go to Italiano, you go to any number of restaurants when people dine outside, dogs are oftentimes present. So I have asked the manager to look into, and the village attorney to look into an ordinance of the council. Obviously, it'll come to the council for approval, but allowing for dogs to be present, properly attended to, obviously.
Sounds like a good workshop
Yeah,
item.
but it'd be a good workshop
Yeah,
item for us.
let's do that.
So I did want to make mention of that. And I did want to thank Jeremy again. He put together, as I requested, a very nice presentation around the grants that we have been applying for. I think that's very informative to the council. I think it's informative to the community at large. And, that's an area that we've asked for the prior manager to take a very active role in, and it didn't always happen. But Jeremy and his staff have really taken this bull by the horn, so to speak, and have really upped the game in that area. And I just want to thank him, the staff, everyone who's been involved in that process for the good work that they're doing.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor.
You heard my comments earlier, and second,
Do
thank
not
you.
read.
Thank you. But I will add a couple things. Chief Trib, you had 2 firefighters come to my parents' house the other day, and I happened to be there, Zach and Andre, and they were extremely professional and did an incredible job. So I just want to make sure that I recognize those 2. Also, this Sunday, the Lighthouse Art Center is starting their 8th annual Plein Air Festival, March 14th through the 20th. So it's quite the event in the art community, and you'll see a lot of people outside painting different scenery and things. So I recommend people go out and see that. This would be a great event to go to. So just wanted to share that event.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm going to move down here to the podium because I want to be able to talk to council and not have to swivel my head the whole time when I'm doing it, which, as everybody knows, I have some eye issues, and that really makes it terrible. So I'm going to just go down here. Okay, so, my mic is on? Yes? All right. I've been reflecting on how far we've come over the past 10 years that I have served on the council. And after inheriting the remnants of a great recession that included real estate taxes collected being $1 million less a year than before the recession had begun. And after previous councils chose to help our residents after the downturn and did not adjust the millage rate as the home's values plummeted. I'm having a hard time saying. And as reserves were then used to both maintain basic services and balance the budget. And after years of virtually no new development and no new sources of tax revenue, and after unfortunate events that led to less than optimum performance by us senior management, we now have a booming housing market that has led to growing annual increases in real estate taxes. We have carefully adjusted the millage rate to maintain our levels of service and address important capital improvements, but still our millage rate is less than 50% of what other municipalities are charging when you factor in the MSTU. And although lowering taxes is a nice soundbite, you only need to get through one set of annual budget meetings to know that every penny is squeezed every single day. We have several new projects in various stages of development, including the Ostrade office, Sea Glass condominium, the reserve, and the last parcel on US 1 that will cast significant new sources of tax revenue in the coming years. We have found a manager with the vision and creativity to maximize these new sources of revenue, including the increasing property taxes, the penny sales tax revenue, and the 1% building department fees that we did not have. And Jeremy has also begun, as we heard, a robust effort to find grant money to fund several new projects. He, with the invaluable assistance of our finance director, Hugh Dunkley, negotiated a fixed interest rate of 2.18%, so we can build a much-needed community center that fits the needs of all residents and works within our budget. We have a seasoned, carefully selected, and devoted staff who protect, serve, and consistently deliver outstanding administrative support and customer service. We have a clear vision and a sound plan in place to rebuild our reserves. And we are now, and I'm going to say this, significantly ahead of schedule, and Mr. Dunkley can back me up on that because we spoke earlier this afternoon. I was pleased to see that we had made more strides in that. We have a detailed and precise 5-year capital improvements and maintenance projects plan with clearly defined funding sources. We have excellent methods to assure transparency, which include an ever-improving website, smoke signals, code red emergency alerts, signage, Facebook page, and Twitter feeds. And council meetings and workshops are now being viewed via Zoom and YouTube. We have a much improved in communication with our business community, and despite the COVID pandemic, 10 new businesses and 2 new restaurants opened in the past year in the throes of this. We have lost some as well, of course, but not all from the pandemic. We see how faithfully our residents patronize our local businesses and restaurants to help them stay strong through the pandemic. We have excellent relationships with local, state, and federal elected officials, agencies, and organizations would put Tequesta in the limelight and in line for future funding opportunities. The list goes on. In short, what we have today is a far cry from what we had 10 years ago. And with careful monitoring and direction by this council, it is a time for cautious celebration and bold steps forward. It is a time to continue building and improving what was started years ago, all the while accurately remembering and learning from history. Finally, I leave you and the members of the various councils I've had the privilege of serving with for the past 10 years. The Village of Tequesta has great potential and a beautiful future ahead of it. I am delighted to have you at the helm as we continue our tradition of being the safe, strong, and best managed municipality anywhere. Thank you. Okay. We will now move on to reports. I believe we're going into the standing reports at this time, and we should start with Attorney Keith Davis. Uh-oh.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll just take a moment to also, people who sit in this chair as a local government attorney have the privilege of working with a lot of elected officials. And in the 20 years now that I've been doing this, I can comfortably say I've worked with more than 100 elected officials and more than a couple dozen mayors. I'm proud that I can also call you my friend. We've worked together for a long time, as you indicated. We have had a lot of great discussions, some challenging discussions, and I think we've both talked each other off the ledge from time to time. And I've always been grateful that you've had my back, and I know I've always had yours. And so thank you for making what I do a pleasure, because that's why I love my job, is being able to work with elected officials, and especially ones like you that I can also call my friend. So thank you.
Thank you.
That will be my report for tonight.
Best one ever.
Nothing bad coming our way. All right, now we'll move on to the village manager, which is item 10 on the agenda, and his report.
All right, thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, you know, we, as most of you guys know, we had an election recently. There was a canvassing tonight at 5:00 p.m. Mary Ann was down there. There were 2 ballots that had come in that needed to be cured. One of those were for Molly Young and one was for Vaughn Harrison. So with that, there is going to be a recount tomorrow at 10 a.m. And that will, hopefully we'll have the end result for that. But I would like to just, you know, from my standpoint, just, you know, appreciate the democratic process, and we had a good response from our citizens. And, you know, I don't know, you know, how much that's worth, but I appreciate that process. And so that will be tomorrow. We hopefully will have a resolution for that. A couple things, and I appreciate Ms. Brandon. She's always, after every EAC meeting, she does give me a report, which helps me. The FP&L charging stations that they talked about, Mr. Bradford has sent me something a few weeks ago. We jumped on it. Doug and I have a meeting with FP&L for some charging stations coming up, I believe, next week. So we've already kind of got that ball rolling. Thanks to Mr. Bradford for sending me the program that FP&L has. So hopefully we can capitalize on that. The pesticide conversation will be at the March workshop, so we've already got that scheduled for the EAC. So thank you, Ms. Brandon, for passing that information on to me. The community center, just to give you guys a little update, I was on site today with the team. It's moving right along. I think they said, and I won't hold them to this, they're 4 days ahead of schedule. So hopefully that stays true. A couple of days ago, they were projected to be a week and a half, so they had a couple of hiccups already. So hopefully we can keep them going. I know Greg and his team does a good, or Greg mostly stays with those guys over there. In April, long-awaited dog park improvements will be taking place over there. I know since I've been here, we've got a ton of comments about, you know, how that needs to be improved. Doug has stepped up, and we did the council budgeted some money for that, and so that's coming in the next month or so. That'll be a good improvement to Cuesta Park. Tomorrow, if you haven't signed up yet, I don't know if it's too late, but we have movies in the park. We do have a strategic planning workshop with council March 22nd. Most of you guys are already aware of that. We have a business forum meeting March 23rd. The same group that we've had, and any other businesses that want to participate. We hope to keep that momentum going with the businesses that we've had. And the last one is, and you guys may know this a little bit, I mean, we're still trying to get all the information, but, you know, with the COVID relief package that is supposed to be signed by the president, all municipalities are supposed to be getting some money. So I don't have those numbers yet. I mean, there's a couple of websites out there projecting us to get significant money. I'm not holding my breath on that, but hopefully we do see some money from that. Supposedly all municipalities are supposed to get a piece of that. So that'll be good for the village, and, you know, in our efforts to kind of minimize the impact of the COVID. With that, that's my report, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for the manager? All right, we have received reports from Police Chief Medina, Fire Chief Trube, and Utilities Director Matt Hammond. They were in our packet and we received it earlier. Are there any specific questions for any of them?
I have a question for Chief, actually. I wanted, and it might not be an answer you can answer tonight. I'm having myself, as well as other people, when we call dispatch, there seems to be a great drag between the communication to the officers from dispatch.
Okay.
So when we have let's just use an example, so like no one figures out what I'm talking about, a suspicious person.
Okay.
By the time the description gets through dispatch, and then they put together what they kind of need to know, that person is long gone.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's a way to improve the speed of it, you know what I mean? Or I don't know
If you want to
what
talk
the
about.
actual timing is. I know personally when I make calls, by the time I see an officer come over, the whole situation is done.
If you want to talk offline specific, like what jobs, so I can look into those jobs specifically, I can't talk without knowing exactly what kind of jobs.
There's a couple, but, yeah.
Yep, there really shouldn't be much of a difference in regards to call dispatch. Once they get the information, all the information that they need, whether it was, prior or the way it is now, the officers get dispatched right away. I haven't heard of concern from my officers or from anyone else, so I'd be more than happy to take a look at it.
That's fine, I
see
just want to make sure we're
specifically.
keeping it in check too, because
Yep.
it's really important for all of our residents that we have super fast communication.
Oh, not a problem, I'll definitely take a look at it. I know you all have my report, I'm sorry, Councilman Dion.
No, I did actually want to make one comment or ask one question. You put the radar sign out there on Beach Road?
Yes, sir.
Which, by the way, was much appreciated because people zoom down that road. And I know part of it's us, part of it's the sheriff. But they actually start coming around that corner, that turn, and that can be a blind turn coming around for some of the people pulling out from those buildings. So I don't know if it's possible to move that unit closer to the curve to get people's attention sooner and get them to slow down. Really, before they hit Inlet Colony would be ideal, because from there on, as you know, there's issues there, but I know you're aware of that.
Yep, not a problem. We could move it, just so you know, we did, some of you may know, we have something what's called Easy Stat, and you put that into the speed trailer, so that gives us real-time information as it's going, and at the end of it, we'll get a report as far as the speeders, the percentages. FDOT, and Doug knows this better than I do, uses the 85 percentile, which is, predominantly what people are traveling. For that road, believe it or not, it's actually 32.2 miles an hour. We had 14,000 vehicles that went over a 4-day period, and they were under the speed limit, which is 32. I had an HOA meeting with the Beach Road Association, I want to say Monday or Tuesday. There was a resident who had some concerns in regards into the unincorporated area. My understanding is that the county's looking to minimize their speed down to 40 from 45. So, it should be consistent throughout, I believe. That's my opinion. It should be 35 throughout, but at some point, it goes from 35 to 45.
Well,
So,
with the amount of people that park along there to use Coral Cove Park, I agree with you. I think 45 is too high. And actually, one thing that the county might want to consider is when you go into Jupiter Island, Martin County, they have a permanent sign up there. I don't know if it's possible for the county to install a similar sign, perhaps at the beginning of Coral Cove, to address that area going through, but.
We've been in contact with them, just so you know. They'll be sending a deputy starting every weekend, starting this weekend from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., just because they're getting a lot of complaints of a lot of vehicles being out there on the side, and as you all know, again, it's unincorporated, so there's only so much that we can do, but they'll be having a deputy every weekend from now to the end of the year.
Okay.
So
All
we've
right.
definitely been in conversations with them.
Thank you, Chief.
Anything else?
The last thing, Mayor, if I have one chance, obviously from the police department, you're always a big supporter. From the village standpoint, everything you do for the residents, people don't realize, just how involved you are and just how much great you do. We could be here all day, just my personal feeling of how great you've been to me personally, the department and the village. Some of the officers are behind me, and Pastor Paul, I consider him part of the police department. I know he goes us in fire, but he's part of the police department. But we truly do thank you for all your years of service, Mayor. We actually like to present an award to you, the 2021 Lifetime Service Award from the Tequesta Police Department, presented to Mayor Abigail Brennan. The Tequesta Police Department thanks you for your service and commitment to the village of Tequesta. Your leadership and dedication has helped make the village a safer place. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. You know how I feel about my police. And I'm not going anywhere, so I'm still, thank you so much. That's beautiful. Oh, my goodness. Do I have any room? Thank you.
You're going to
That
need
is
some more
really-
room.
I'm sorry?
You're gonna need some wall space to put all that stuff on.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on to our regular agenda. And just so you know, I think we have 5 public hearings coming up, so it's old business. And the first is number 11, ordinance number 0121, second reading.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0121, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 78, zoning, Article 9, supplemental regulations, Division 4, landscaping, to update Florida-friendly landscaping requirements for fertilizer use throughout the village, amending definitions, revising shoreline considerations, updating maintenance, yard waste, and fertilizer management provisions, including provisions for applicability, findings, purpose, and intent, licensing and training of applicators, fertilizer content and application rates, timing and best practices for application and designation of fertilizer-free zones, providing for enforcement of violations and penalties, providing for internal consistency, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify an effective date and further purposes. This is second reading.
Yes, we did hear this last month. This is a public hearing, now open for council comment.
No, I read it, and I'm excited about having this put in place because I think it's something that, everyone needs to start taking a harder look at because it's a serious problem.
Yes.
I'm excited about it.
Anything else here?
Good.
I wanted to thank Councilmember Brandon for working with the Environmental Committee and bringing these things to us, and you're our representative. It is now closed to council and open to the public. We had no comments at this time, and Brad, you'll pipe in if you see something else that I should know about. Otherwise, we will move forward and say that it is now closed to the public. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 12, ordinance number 0221, second reading.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0221, ordinance of the Village Council of the Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Chapter 78 zoning by amending Section 78.4, 296, 299, and 335 to provide for internal consistency and proper intra-code cross-referencing, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date and further purposes. This is also second reading.
Yes, we did this last month. This is a public hearing now open for council comment. Seeing none, it is closed to the council. We did not have any public comment, so it is now closed to the public. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 13, ordinance number 0321, second reading.
Mayor, ordinance 0321.
Lost your mic.
There we go. Ordinance 321, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of Chapter 78, zoning, Article 1 in general, 78.4 definitions to create a new definition for the term restaurant specialty. At Article 6, Schedule of District Regulations, Section 78.176C1, Neighborhood Commercial District, Section 78.177C2, Neighborhood Commercial District, and Section 78.178C3, Neighborhood Commercial District, to add restaurant specialty to the list of permitted uses, and at Section 78.180MU Mixed Use District, to add restaurant specialty to the list of permitted uses and shopping center to the list of special exception uses, and to provide for consistency between the mixed use district regulations and existing uses within the zoning district. Microphone went on again. All right. And at Article 10, off-street and on-street parking and loading regulations, Section 78.705, required number of parking spaces to provide the number of parking spaces required for these establishments, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date and further purposes. And again, this is second reading.
Yes, it is. This is a public hearing now open for council comment. I know that we went through this at length before, so I would like to, I see that there is no council comment. We will close it to the council and open it to the public. Once again, we had no public comment on this, so it is now closed to the public. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 14, ordinance number 0421, second reading.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0421, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Chapter 78 zoning, Article 9, supplemental regulations, Division 1 generally, by revising Section 78-282, structures exempt from height limitations, to provide additional restrictions for such structures, providing that each and every other section and subsection in Chapter 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date, and for other purposes.
Thank you. This is a public hearing now open to council. Seeing no comments, it's closed to the council and open to the public. We did not have any comments from the public. It's now closed to the public. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 15, ordinance number 0521, second reading.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0521, an ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, updating comprehensive plan capital improvement element 5-year capital improvement schedule as provided in Section 163-3177, parens 3, parens B, Florida statutes, providing that the text as updated or revised shall be substituted for and replace in full the existing text in the adopted capital improvements element, providing for transmittal of a courtesy copy of the adopted amendment to the State Land Planning Agency, providing a conflicts clause and a severability clause, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All right, once again, this is a public hearing now open for council comment. Seeing none, it is closed to the council and open to the public. We did not have any comments from the public. We are closing it to the public. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, on to new business. Item 16, this is a request by the Village of Tequesta History Committee for funds to place a historical plaque on the public safety, in the public safety facility. And Mrs. Marcia Nielsen, one of our, I won't say hysterical historians. I can't help it.
Keepers.
Oh, history keepers, I'm sorry. We have a new name, History Keepers, is going to present what she is looking at for us.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mayor. 4 years ago, Pat Watkins and I undertook the task of organizing and cataloging village archival items. In our search of the storage facility on Bridge Road, which is a very interesting place, by the way, we found the dedication plaque, which was affixed to our old village hall. The original village hall was built in 1965 and was located on the site where our present public safety building stands. It was demolished in 2001 to make way for that new building. Please note, one of the names on the plaque is William Slushmeyer, who donated the land on which our public safety facility is currently located. Mr. Slushmeyer's generosity extended to the donation of the land on which we will build our new recreation center, and the adjoining land where the Arts Center is now located, which was, by the way, the home of the North County First Aid Ambulance Squad, sorry Pat, not ambulance, First Aid Squad, established in 1965. It seems a shame to return this piece of our history to a shelf in storage. Therefore, we respectfully request that the plaque be cleaned and relocated to the public safety building, which is its original site, the site of the old village hall. The front entrance of the public safety building has that building's dedication plaque on its north side, and you can see a picture of that on there. The wall opposite that plaque wall is now without decoration, and we propose that the original Village Hall plaque be mounted on this wall. We further propose to mount above that plaque a smaller plaque which explains that this is the site of the original Village Hall. Here you see two proposed designs for that smaller plaque. Inscribed would be the words, "Original site of Tequesta Village Hall, dedicated July 1965. As plans begin to formulate for our new recreation center, there were several residents who recalled hearing that a time capsule was embedded into the old recreation building when it was built by JTJC, but none was found during demolition. The village is remedying that situation as our new building will have a time capsule. This plaque is the time capsule for the old village hall, a building that was built by those people whose foresight and generosity made the foundation for the village that today we all love. To prominently display it is a fitting way to honor them.
Thank
That's it.
you. Thank you. First of all, thank you to you and Pat for what you've been doing for 4 years. And I know that Lori is saying, shaking her head because
But we've had a lot of fun.
we have heard.
Will always be the hysterical historian.
History keepers.
So what is, anybody have any questions before I go?
No question, but I just want to tell you guys, I love that you guys are asking to add the plaque above it to help tell the story of where it came from. Because anyone who's new moving in is not going to know.
Yeah, it
what
would
that
look
is.
like 2 plaques on the
Yes,
same
I
building.
appreciate that.
The only thing that I would
Thank-
like, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's a great idea. It looked great there.
The only thing I'd like to add, I think there was 2 options for our
Right.
plaque above. I like the option with the curve because it kind of matches the other side,
Okay.
that it has the curve as well. And I think that'd be good visual to have that similar height and that curve on top to kind of match that across the side.
Do you have anything for this?
I concur.
Obviously, an estimate for the cost. Have we got that?
Doug?
Both plaques and refurbishing, $1,800 plus shipping.
Plus the shipping on top of the 1,800. Yeah, they're big brass plaques that are,
Plaque weighs about 60 pounds.
okay,
Solid copper plaque.
okay. And now, I know that there is some money in the clerk's budget for the history committee, that I know. However, based on what we have today and what has happened today, and with the election, we may have more costs associated with the election, which we do not have budgeted. My suggestion would be if you would join me in donating part of your discretionary funds, if that makes sense to you, if you believe that this is important, because none of us have really gone anywhere. We haven't had to spend very, very little of this. And I think from a history standpoint, I think it's important, and I'm definitely interested in doing that. I will do some of those funds. I just wanted to see if anybody else was interested in helping out in this regard.
I have no problem with that.
All right?
I was already thinking I was just going to wait and check in with our clerk maybe tomorrow and see what our balances are.
I think you've got it.
I know, I just want to make sure.
I think
well,
we
maybe
all
I
do.
can make it a little bit higher than I would have thought.
I appreciate anything, Pat and I both appreciate anything you can do to help. Thank you.
All right, we will figure out what we have and the cost, and then we can come back and just do that. We don't have to have a vote on that, do we, since we're individually giving funds?
On your individual
Right.
contributions, that's up to each of you individually. And on the concept, you probably want to go ahead and have a motion, second, and a vote for the request to hang
All
the
right,
plaque. And to the extent there's an option on the second plaque, if you wanted to select that as well.
Right. Well, I concur with what the vice mayor says. I think that makes a lot of sense. So do I have a motion to approve placing a historical plaque on the public safety building as brought to us by the Tequesta History Committee? And what are we calling it again?
History keepers?
History Keepers. I guess we have to take away Tequesta History Committee. Okay. History Keepers. I like that.
We're not actually a committee.
That is true. That's true.
We're under the direction of the village board.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So I would like that motion, if I can.
So moved.
Okay. And a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So staff will look at that, we'll look at the budget, we'll look at your guys' budget, we'll report what everybody's gonna just give out of your accounts. We'll get back to you.
All right. Thank you. I think it's a great thing that you've done and found and all of that, digging through the Public Works building. All right, item 17, resolution number 9-21, this having to do with the Special Law Enforcement Fund and appropriating fund balance in the amount of $21,000. Chief, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, evening, Mayor. You have before you a request by the police department to increase the fiscal year by use of Special Law Enforcement Fund, which is seizure money, in the amount of $21,000 to Accreditation Colony. The police department is looking to be accredited by the state of Florida. Obviously, it's a long, tenuous process. With this, I will be assigned myself and the sergeant along with this individual. And once we are certified, we're looking at a year from now, hopefully, barring any issues. We will then have the sergeant continue with it along with myself. So this is for a 1-year contract to get us to the point of accreditation, and then the police department will be moving forward with that.
All right. Any questions for the chief?
I do. Can you explain to me, that's a state accreditation, what is the value to that? And just help me understand that.
What it does is, it just shows that your policies and procedures are in line with everyone else accredited regarding from a liability issue. So, their standard, us will be the same as Jupiter and Juno Beach. Therefore, it should help reduce liability in regards, just because we're just doing, exactly what we're supposed to be. The state of Florida oversees it. They ensure that everything that we're putting in policies, that we continue to follow it, of course. And with that, then upon your first one, it's every 3 years you have to go through your accreditation process again.
And is that, they look into just all policies like internal investigations, hiring, firing, whatever it might be?
We're going to look at all the policies, from beginning to end. It's going to be a long process. I've spoken to him a little bit. I've spoken to Juno Beach is actually going through it themselves. It's just a matter of us looking at everything we have. It's not a direction where he says you should do this. He's going to provide policies from other agencies. We're going to look, compare, see what applies to the Village of Tequesta, and make the necessary adjustments, just to make sure we're in line with everyone else.
Does the county have accreditation as well?
I'm not sure if they do.
Okay, I'm just
not sure.
Okay.
We did have it years and years ago.
Yes, I
and then
believe
it fell by the wayside because it became so cumbersome and the records were hard to keep. But I personally believe that it's the right thing to do for the village to have all of our policy and procedures in line and defensible. And we could make sure that our officers have very clear policies and procedures moving forward as well. Anything else for the chief?
Quick note, this is a special law enforcement fund, so that can only be used for certain things. So I think from my standpoint, and I know the chief has been talking about this since I've been here, it's a very good use of those funds.
Thank you. All right, thank you. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, chief. Stay there. We have resolution number 10-21, also coming from the Special Law Enforcement Fund, $4,798.50. And would you please tell us what you want to purchase with the fund?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Before you have for a purchase for the police department for our 3 Stalker 2 stationary radar units. The current units that we utilize now to conduct radar are very ancient, to say the least, approximately from when one of the guys gathers, maybe 2005. So, they're getting near the end of their use. So we're looking to purchase 3 new ones as opposed to going through a capital. I figured we could use the seizure fund for this purchase.
All right. Any questions for the chief on this?
Are these handheld?
Yes.
Okay. So there will be 3 of them?
Yep, there'll be 3 new ones. Currently, we only have 1 that's working. We have them in the vehicle, but only 1 is working.
In radar and laser, or radar and laser?
The radar and laser? No, just radar. Just radar. No, from the vehicles, they work though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The vehicles work.
I missed that.
Nice try.
Well, I can't wait for y'all to use these.
Trust me, ask people along the route if we've been using them, so.
Oh, you have?
Yes, thank you.
I've been told.
Oh, all right.
So thank you.
Oh, yes, thank you. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Once again, Chief, resolution number 14-21, and this also Special Law Enforcement Fund for an all-terrain power bike.
It's an e-bike.
E-bike.
I know what that is, but it's an all-terrain e-bike.
Just don't take it on the sidewalk.
No sidewalks.
And it's not on the sidewalk.
And that's exactly part of our purchase. Part of the reason is, Mayor, before you have a purchase for the e-bike, as you all know, obviously, you all passed resolution in regards to the e-bike and the use of not on sidewalks, as well as other things that we're prohibiting. This will be utilized to educate our public. We're actually putting together a presentation for the community. We'll do it with youth, we'll do it with adults, just the do's and don'ts of the road of what they can and cannot do. So it's going to give us an opportunity to kind of communicate with our residents to know exactly, what they can and cannot do with the e-bike. Now, obviously, we had put this in last week. We actually had an incident last night with an e-bike, where an e-bike was struck by a vehicle on US 1. So, the individual didn't do anything wrong, but I just think, given the fact that people are starting to purchase them a lot more than they have in the past, I think it's important that we get ahead of the curve and educate our public.
Any questions for the chief?
It is a special law enforcement fund as well.
Yeah.
All these have been correct.
So
All these expenses have come out of the special.
That's right, they're all.
Yeah.
I know that we already have 2 bikes maybe that have been in use. Does this e-bike require any additional training?
Yes, so with the training, they actually come from Indiana, and they'll do an 8-hour training for my officers. It's a train-the-trainer. I've designated Sergeant Blanc to be the point person from the police department. So they'll come, they'll train Kurt. Kurt will, obviously, once he is certified, he can then train the rest of the officers, which we have additional officers that are looking to go on the bicycle unit.
So are you seeing the potential of getting more bikes?
Right now, no, but possibly yes. I mean, honestly, right now, I have to see, honestly, how much use it's going to get utilized and what we use it for. But we have a lot of things planned in regards to even doing things with the kids, on the weekends and stuff. So I think it's going to be a great piece for the community.
What's the range on that thing?
This one specifically goes 50 miles per hour with one charge. We did purchase we're looking to purchase a second battery, and I think it's 30 miles per hour, correct? 30 miles per hour is top speed on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions for the chief? No? May I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Rodriguez, resolution. This is item 20, resolution 13-21, a resolution of the Village Council concerning a supplemental appropriation to the building fund. Could you tell us what's going on there?
Yes, this the resolution is to increase the building funds in the amount of $300,000. That's the permit fees that we receive from the Siglas building. So we increasing the revenue in the building fund.
Because we didn't budget for it, because we didn't want to get out ahead of ourselves, as I recall.
Right.
So you are now expecting about $300,000?
About they're expecting 500,000, so we'll be a total of 800,000 total.
Oh, my.
So.
Oh, my. That's amazing. Any questions about this?
Just to clarify that, so we're seeing additional revenues, this is a building fund, so
Yeah.
they're very restricted. When we say $800,000, that's not general fund, and so
Right.
make sure we separate it. Sorry about that, just wanted to make
No,
sure
no, no,
everyone was clear.
thank you, because we can't put, just like before, you can't count it in the general fund.
But there's 4 different funds it's going to, is that correct, on Exhibit A?
The 1%?
1%.
What's that?
1%.
1%, but
Yes.
what is Exhibit A?
So the exhibit, you're gonna have and I need to pull it up, but I'm gonna clarify that, you're gonna have it's basically you're cleaning it up, you're saying we're gonna recognize these revenues, and then we're going to, so the third item, I believe is the third item on there, when we started the budget year for the building fund, we were budgeting to take money out of the reserves to pay for operations. And so now that we have additional funds, we're recognizing that $300,000, and so then you'll see that. Let me just pull it up so when I talk, I'm talking educated about it.
300,000 building permit revenue?
So the first item is you're recognizing the revenue. The second one is you're gonna see this is the next item, is gonna be the increase to the expenditure for the item that he's requesting. The third item is taking that fund balance, that $146,000, and then you're gonna have the difference is $108,000 to put back, that we don't have to allocate, that we don't have to budget the
difference,
to balance the budget for the building fund.
Okay.
So we're actually, instead of taking $146,000 that we were using to operate, we're actually gonna put money back into it.
Right.
So the net benefit is the last two added together, almost $255,000.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions?
sorry if that wasn't super clear, but it sounds like you
No,
guys got it.
I actually had called Jeremy about that because I was having a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out where everything was going. So it's a little complicated, but you guys know what you're doing, so that's good. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and then again, now you want to spend some of that money.
We
Item
need-
21, which is approval of purchase of a printer, but not just any printer.
Not just a printer, it's a printer to print last print. And according to Brad, that's the best we can get for the money. So when we need something for technology, we have to go to Brad. And if Brad can speak to the technology that we have on the new printer, he will know more the details on that.
So before we get to that, I don't know if Brad wants to chime in. When we talked about this, we have additional funds in the building fund that are restricted. We can only use them for our operations in the building to enforce codes. When I look at it, I didn't want to look at the funds. I wanted to look at what it would improve. Will it improve our operations? Will we be able to provide a service that we currently don't? And Jose had excellent answers that our customer service will improve. We'll be able to offer a service that most municipalities won't because they're not going to have these kind of funds that we have. We have the luxury of having. So over this past year, we really went really digital. And so when they submit plans to digital, Jose's able to stamp them. We'll actually be able to provide a service to be able to print those plans for the developers and give those back if needed. So we'll be able to provide a service that most municipalities won't. Whether we have some fees or whatever associated with those plans, we'll work that part of it out. But I just want to comment that, we're going to be able to provide a service that some municipalities can't because they don't have those funds. And so with me, from my standpoint, it wasn't about the extra funds that we had and trying to find a use for them. It was, providing a service that we currently don't.
So I would have a question. I think that the idea of customer service is great, and I think we should definitely go towards that direction. A couple of years ago, and it might still be there, but within the Village of DeQuesta, there is a printing company that does large-scale prints. And Bruce, are you aware of that on Cypress?
We use them.
Yes.
Archcom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there any value in contracting with them, that local business within DeQuesta, to be able to do these prints for us? And
We use them as needed basis. But right now, if we're gonna provide that service to the customer, it will cost more than the amount that we're gonna spend on the printer. Say, for example, the printer cost $45,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
We expect it to last about 10 years. If we're gonna send everything out to them, the cost would be probably $80,000. The cost will be cost double.
Yeah, I guess, materials and labor hours for us to print it too, there's got to be some value in that too. I just would encourage us to look into that. I think you already have, but I would want to kind of slow up on that.
Yeah, we have.
On that
I have
purchase,
to do that.
because it's.
You'll be printing by request, yes?
Yeah, we can print it on.
Mhm. We actually looked into buying a printer, like this, very similar to this one. And, just the time that it takes to, you can email the plans, of course, over there to them, but you still have to go pick them up. You think about the time that it would take my guys to go over and pick them up and bring them back to the office stuff. It really is a time saver too, and it's very convenient to have in-house printing capabilities like this. And also you can charge the builders and developers and stuff for copies. They're gonna have to pay for them from somebody, so that, we can certainly set up a fee-based system to where they would, reimburse us for our copies, because there is a cost to the city for that, so we've got to pass that along to whomever you're gonna get them anyway.
The other benefit, this is a scanner too, so when we get these big plans, if they say, I can't send them, the file's too big, Jose said, just bring your plans in and we can run it through a scanner, now all of a sudden we have a digital version. So there's some benefits to these things,
That's actually more of a selling point for my.
It will also it'll copy directly on the machine.
Yeah. Are we talking about charging the builders if they need one?
To the council.
Are you going to use Bruce's idea of charging for some of this? Is there
we
a
thinking
schedule?
about it. We have X amount of dollar in the building department fund, so we have to see, what we're going to use that fund for, or we're going to give it back, or we're going to spend some, or what we're going to use it for. So we're making those decisions in the next couple months.
We'll make business decisions about that.
It should be fairly easy to extract a cost per page from the device. That'll give us our baseline cost. to then generate, a cost to deliver it to the customer, if that's the direction that you wanted to go.
All right.
When I think having a single source, a single place, from an efficiency standpoint for all the parties involved, because I agree with what Bruce is saying, I think makes a lot of sense.
I'm very comfortable with the idea. I went through this with, like Jeremy, because I'm on these things too. I'm comfortable moving forward, but I know you wanted to.
No, I mean, it sounds like that there's been enough thought process into it, and so
Okay.
I'm
All
not
right.
opposed to it. I just want to make sure it was thought about.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve?
I'd just like to ask one more question.
Oh, of
Mary.
course.
Will we get this from a company out of New Jersey?
That would be Brad at the end.
Brad?
It's our, one of our technology distributors. They'll ship it's actually a whole install team that comes. That's just who we're ordering it through, but HP Direct will provide the delivery and installation service.
So y'all obviously shopped around and got prices.
Well, this is off of government contract.
Okay.
Anything else?
Is it color?
Yeah, it'll be color.
Huh?
That's what I heard talk. You said yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Mr. Hammond, this is the final adjusting purchase order. It was adjusted, Advanced Meter Infrastructure Project with Core and Main. And I think this is coming back to us. Wasn't that true? We already discussed this.
This is the final adjusting purchase order with Core and Main.
Right.
It is a purchase order to Core and Main to balance out the services that they provided and close out the overall project at about a little over $130,000 under the budgeted amount.
Under the budgeted amount.
That's correct.
Anybody have any questions?
And this includes the offset that they provided for the challenges we had along the way?
That's correct, it does.
All right.
Anything else?
Great.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Great job.
Yes. All right, final item, number 23, Mr. Chambers, and we are talking about the Tequesta Bridge sidewalk repairs.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. The item before you is a recommendation to replace the defective sidewalk on Tequesta Bridge on the northeast and northwest approaches. It's important to point out that this is not part of the structure of the bridge. The structure of the bridge is not compromised. The sidewalk is independent from the bridge structure. The bridge just passed inspection with Trans Systems in November. However, the original sidewalk, which varies between 5 and 6 feet and 6-inch depth, was not reinforced with steel. And we did have some settling on the banks on the side and the drainage slopes. So the plan is to take out the old sidewalk and reinforce the new sidewalk with steel. We'll be putting number 5 grade 5/8 rebar with a maximum PSI of 24,000.
Don't we have on one side asphalt and the other side the pavers?
No, they're both concrete. For some reason,
Oh, they
years
painted
ago,
one.
somebody had painted over the concrete. I don't know what the intention
Yeah, that
was
black
there.
paint.
Our former manager had a brilliant idea.
Yeah, we've actually tried to remove that.
Can't do
Without
it.
using chemicals over the water, we've tried to pressure clean it ourselves. We brought in a contractor, and it is literally stained into the concrete. Yeah, and that is on the south side.
You couldn't get that to happen if you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
Get something to last like that.
So we do have a contract with Win and Sons. Council approved the contract last month. Competitive rates. There are 3 contractors on that contract. Win and Sons is the low bidder on the contract. And so the request is to have Win and Sons replace the sidewalk with reinforced concrete for $73,095. So we will have to shut down the sidewalk, close off the sidewalk. We will have to remove the handrail, and the old sidewalk and curb will have to be removed. We'll form up and obviously pour new sidewalk, reinforced concrete.
What's holding that sidewalk up now? What's the underlying support on it?
It's obviously steel, but it's independent from the bridge structure itself. There's some drainage slopes on the 4 quadrants on the bridge.
Right.
And for whatever reason, when that was designed, they didn't reinforce the concrete. There was some settling in the landscaping on the side.
Right.
And actually down below, there was some erosion that the utility department has been addressing as well.
Right.
And it, as you know, it could have been anything. It could have been the quality of the concrete, could have been the application. But a structure like that should have had steel in the concrete.
So Doug, that's my question, is if it was deficient in its construction, do we have recourse against the original contractor? In this case, there's too much time gone by, and we didn't catch it during the inspections,
You're
et
looking
cetera.
at 10 years now.
Okay.
You know, you couldn't hold a contractor responsible for that. And you can't point to any one thing that caused the settling and the cracking, but it is literally cracked from the approach of the sidewalk all the way up to the top of the bridge on both sides.
The only recommendation I would say is to go to 4,000 PSI concrete rather than the 2,400. I mean,
24,000.
24, you got 24,000?
With the reinforced
I
steel.
thought you made a mistake when you said that. I've never poured 24,000
So we had,
PSI
I
concrete.
brought in Kimley Horn and Associates.
Yeah.
We went up there, we took a look at what was happening
Yeah.
up there. They provided us drawings, we provided the drawings right to the contractor, and so the bid is based on the plans from Kimley Horn.
Huh, I'm gonna dig into that. I have never heard of anybody pouring 24,000 PSI concrete.
So, if I may, this is a budget item. I know that Doug's been asking for this for the past couple of years. This previous budget year, we did budget for this item, so it's not like a new emergency thing.
One last question, Doug, do we have any reason to be concerned about the sidewalk on the opposite side?
Not at this time. We do not see any cracks at this time. We would address it. There has been, towards the base of the bridge, we've had some sidewalk that has lifted. We've ground that down less than a ½ inch.
Okay.
But we monitor that. The guys are up there 2 days a week. I do inspections every 4 months.
Okay.
And obviously the bridge structure is inspected every 2 to 3 years.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Any other questions? May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now down to any other matters. And does anybody have a burning desire to talk about something else?
Good luck in retirement.
Thank you. I'm not going anywhere. I can
I
still
know you're
walk
not.
here.
It has been a pleasure sitting.
I'm sure we'll see you at that podium.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna leave without talking to you,
Huh? Oh, thank you.
Keys when your
Well,
car
you
coming
too.
in.
Bring us all that good
Your
stuff.
car gonna get in.
You guys have work to do now.
Here we go. Made it through.
Possibly. I'm going to go down over the well, depends on the nature of the recount.
Perfect size. I have it spot just
It is
that
a little,
size.
it is a little.
I think if it's just an
Well, I'm gonna need a truck.